Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Dirt Talk podcast. I am one of 50% of the hosts here, Aaron Witt.
Yeah, I feel like it's a host co-host situation. It's not two co-host situations.
So
I would love to be the host, but you're the host.
I am the captain on this show.
Yeah.
Joined by Alex, my
co-captain?
Semi-captain, co-captain, junior captain, first mate.
Also the person in the lighthouse.
Yes.
Any other
engine room.
Any other role besides the one you're doing, me and or Harrison are doing them.
Great. Today we have a question and questionable answer episode where you ask your questions and I give answers that are likely incorrect, but I'll do my best to make them sound correct to confuse people even more.
And to be fair, they're from the heart. You know, you're certainly speaking to what you believe is correct.
I'm doing my best. And a lot of people accuse me for not knowing what I'm talking about. Yes. A lot of people accuse me of being an idiot. Yes. They're right.
Has anyone ever called you an idiot to your face in regards to the work of BuildWit?
No, everybody's not. People are nice to your face in general. It's like the distance of the internet in between people. Oh, now I can be an asshole.
Sure.
But it's like, even in your car, when you're in your safety of your car, someone cuts you off. Wow, they're the biggest piece of shit that I have ever interacted with in my life. That guy right there. But say you're in an elevator and someone bumps into you. You're like, you shitbag.
But what you're going to say is, oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And they, I'm so sorry.
It was totally accident, man.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I've heard some questionable things over the phone before, but never in person.
I need more people to be rude to me. So if you see me at Con Expo,
bring him down a peg.
I don't know if this goes out before Con Expo, after Con Expo, but if it goes out before, say rude things to me at the show. Just be really rude. Just throw tomatoes at me.
Where did all this produce come from? I told him on the podcast. Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the power of social media, baby. We're using our media empire for good.
Yeah, it's a really good time over here. Just talking about what salad ingredients can you sneak into Con Expo.
And if this goes out after Con Expo, just leave mead comments on the internet. Those are always appreciated. And very, very helpful.
Now, what would actually be really interesting, could we call attention to a specific post where the inside joke of the podcast is everybody go leave awful comments?
Yeah. On Eric's post.
On Eric. That would be really funny and really mean. He's like, whoa, man, what did I say in this particular post?
So mean. He's crying.
That's really funny. Okay. Anyway, this is a podcast about questions and questionable answers. And we are taking your questions. We had a lot that were pretty interesting that we didn't even get to last month, so we are getting to more of them this month.
Great. And if you have questions, send them to
dirttalkandbuild.com. Always get good ones. Always appreciate the questions.
It goes right to Alex.
It goes right to me.
I don't see any of them.
It's technically an email group, but it just goes to me. So
yeah, it just goes to you.
It's all the same.
Because I don't care about your questions. I'm just here for the money.
Yeah. Aaron's here for the money.
The big bucks we make on this podcast.
Yeah. Boss pays us a lot.
All of the $0 that we make.
All right. First question. What books are on your to-read list right now?
I just read The Laws of Human Nature, which was good, by somebody Green. Why am I blanking on this name? He's a big author.
We can look it up and make it sound like you knew it.
Let's look this up.
Is that the one you were saying was pretty dense?
Mm-hmm.
Robert Greene.
Robert Greene, yeah.
Yeah, so what book did you just read?
Okay, I just read The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene, and I've read War by Robert Greene, and I have The Laws of Power sitting on my counter by Robert Greene. Amazing book. It's very dense, so it's not something you just pick up and breeze through on a Saturday morning, but remarkable. I read that. I read the new David Goggins book, which was awesome. I think it was better than his first. If you haven't read his first, read his first. Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
But the second one, man, it's amazing. I think it's simpler, and his way of communicating and saying the things that are in your head, but you just don't read anywhere or see anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really something. So I read that book. I feel like I'm missing one more, but I just read last week The End of the World is Just the Beginning by Peter Zeihan.
Mm.
And that shook me big time.
Nonfiction?
Everything.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I don't have time for fiction. I don't have time.
No fun
I don't have
in your
time
life,
for
man.
space travel and zombies and love stories, okay?
Yeah, Aaron only reads romance novels, but it's only on flights. It's really specific.
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
fly very often, so it's not like a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, low key. Because my wife's not with me when
Yeah.
I fly. But this book, The End of the World is Just Beginning. I've heard him on the Joe Rogan podcast. I'm like, I need to buy this guy's book. It's pretty. It's just all about how we've been living in this amazing world that is powered by globalism, and based on the math or all of these different scenarios, globalism could go out the window at any one time, and is likely to go out the window. Is going to go out the window at some point. And here's what will happen when it does go out the window. And even if it doesn't go out the window by nuclear war, or the United States military making big changes, whatever it is, it'll go out the window because of demographics, because every society is aging. And we're to the point now where we can't replenish the workforce that we need to keep these societies going. So for the first time, I think by 2035, there will be more old people than young people in the United States for the first time in U.S. history, which is bad because they stop producing and they take all their money with them. And then there's not an equal number of people in the other bands to make up for that. And then you have lost tax revenue as well from that because they're not working and they're just taking from the system now via Social Security, whatever it is. So it's going to cause some problems, but also create massive opportunity. And if you are somebody who is building stuff or wants to build stuff, boy, is the opportunity massive in front of us. So it's terrifying, but very exciting for anybody in infrastructure because that is where the world will be won and lost.
Yeah.
And then my next book is going to be, I read a book on the labor rate participation, decline in labor rate participation. I forget what it is called, but it's all about how we talk about the unemployment rate as the method to indicate how healthy the economy is, but it's not true because it's not overall labor participation. Labor participation is what percent of people that could be in the workforce are in the workforce. When you talk unemployment, it's only people that are actively looking for jobs or actively working. It doesn't count the people out of the workforce.
Who are not trying.
Yeah. And there's been this disturbing trend over the past few decades of working age males leaving the workforce more and more and more every year. So the workforce participation is lower today than it has been in decades. And that means nearly 10 million working age males completely out of the workforce right now that could be in the workforce. And the question is why and how do we get those people back into the workforce? Because kind of need to. If our big problem is going to be retirements and workforce, hey, we better figure this out. So that was interesting. And then next book's on T. Boone Pickens.
How do you...
I'm reading this year.
T. Boone Pickens, smart guy.
Oh, yeah.
Stoked. How do you track the books you want to read?
I track books I want to read by buying them.
You're like, oh, I really want to buy that. You go buy it, and then
if I think about
it's
it,
sitting there somewhere, you eventually get to
exactly. I just buy it immediately. So every time I find a book, that'd be interesting. I just buy it, and then I put it within the library. And whenever I need another book, I just go over to my library.
These books,
what haven't I read? What do I like? Oh, that looks interesting, and I read that one. That's my system.
In your own personal book storage, are you keeping books you've read away from books you haven't read?
Nope. There's no
Just all up
organization
there.
to it. Yep. Like the one I'm about to read, Boone, it's called.
Yeah.
Great book.
Yeah, you'd read it before.
Yeah, I read it in college, I think. So it's been a while, maybe 8 years since I read it last, and I just want to read it again. Why? I don't know. I just saw it on my shelf. I'm like,
I enjoyed that last time. I've matured.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll read it differently.
yeah, I would love to give that one another read. So
Nice.
that's my system.
Cool.
My very well designed.
You don't have to have a system, but I feel like it's a system as long as it's a thing you like.
You don't have a
continue to
system.
do.
Just read, damn it. Just read.
Just read.
Anybody that doesn't read, they're just leaving so much on the table. You can go learn about somebody's life in 500 pages. Why would you not be part of that? Like, why, as far as human development's concerned, books have been pretty central to that for thousands of years for a reason.
It's not a new thing.
It's not a new thing. And I wouldn't even know what my life would look like if I hadn't read consistently over the past decade. I don't think this whole, like, none of this would exist if I hadn't been reading.
It's probably fair.
It is hugely, hugely impactful. So just read something. And I read 10 pages a day, minimum. That's my only rule.
It's a simple
I can
rule.
go beyond that, just 10 pages a day.
Get out of the way.
Anybody can do that. You can't read 10 pages a day. They'll throw something at you.
Check into why you say you can't.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, thank you. All right. Next question. You put your hand out ready to go. It's like, oh my God. Okay. Next question. Where'd you get that button-down construction shirt? I feel like you have a handful.
I have a handful of ridiculous shirts, but button-down construction shirt, it's Rowback. And I put it on my story when I got it. Someone sent it to me. I looked at it. For sure buying that one because I had a Rowback shirt, most comfortable.
Yeah, you like
collared shirt.
Yeah.
They're amazing. I have one with dinosaurs all over it. So I get that one and I put it on my stories. Sold out all sizes. So a cleaned out Rowback.
Yeah.
Cleaned them out. And since then, people have asked, where do you get that shirt? And I say, I'm sorry, there are
ruined
no
this
more.
for all of us.
Yeah, I ruined it. But the store is getting fired back up. The BuildWit store. I've said that for years now.
It actually is.
Yes.
You can go buy stuff there now.
That is a future line item of we're going to have a construction specific shirt. It's going to be executed way better because that shirt, if you look at it very carefully, the equipment's not all that accurate. And it has cranes on it. Who wants cranes on their shirt? I don't want cranes on my shirt. I want diggers on my shirt. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put earth moving machines only.
Ooh, that's what you call it, like earth moving machines only. That could be like the style line. I like that. Cool. You also have a really great, Jessica got you for Christmas, like a couple of those, like, just like work shirts.
Yeah.
That are pretty good.
Yeah.
I like
my
those too.
BuildWit excavating and grading shirt
Yeah.
with the upside down patch on it.
It's nice.
When I wear that in public, no one gets
They're
it.
like, what?
They look
What
at
is
me
it?
like that.
What?
I think he's dumb. Like I think he's an idiot, and they just don't get it.
It's good branding, man.
Mm-hmm.
You want people to think you're an idiot. I think that way you can always over deliver.
It's part of my brand.
Yeah,
it's part of my brand.
Thanks for the question. Next one. Best tips / practices / cool shit you've seen for working in really cold conditions. And I ask you this as a person who grew up in the desert.
I am extremely inexperienced doing anything in extremely cold conditions, let alone working in extremely cold conditions.
Just being there is really new.
Yeah, so I'm the worst person to ask about this, but we did go recently to Alberta to the oil sands in January. And I was a little afraid to go up there. I'm not super afraid of most trips that we go on nowadays because we've seen a lot. We've gone up against most of the conditions, but I'd never been in, minus weather before. Maybe once or twice in my life, I'd been in Colorado where it was in the morning -2. And it's like, oh, it's so cold. And you go inside. You don't have to think about it.
Yeah, you have to do it.
It's not really an inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, growing up in Arizona, never been around cold like that. I was afraid. I did a lot of research. I asked a lot of people that work up there. And what I got back was make sure you have good boots. And the nice thing was I didn't have to buy new boots. I wore my typical area leather boots when we were in Denver on the ski slopes when we were shooting snowcats. And Eric had his normal boots on. Chase had his normal boots on. We were all miserable.
Yeah, you're like,
our feet were wet and cold.
Jeans in this is not good for
and jeans. It was bad strategy. So I was like, I'm gonna have to buy new boots. And then I remembered I had mountaineering boots from college when I was doing some of that.
Yeah.
They were Sportivas, mountaineering boots, and they look like work boots. So I thought,
oh, nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll just wear these because they were insulated. Those worked like a charm.
Oh, nice.
So beyond that, I don't know what the right boots are, but you got to get winter boots.
Well, I thought it was funny when you and Chase were like talking about, gearing up for going up to Canada in that weather. And like the revelation was, let's get pants other than jeans.
Yeah.
It's like, we clearly, that's not something we go very often.
Well, thanks
as an
to
organization.
Thanks to our rigorous winter testing on the slopes.
You learned.
Buttermilk in Aspen, Colorado.
Yep.
Yeah, we learned our lesson. So next was insulated bibs. Those were so warm. I was so warm the entire time.
Love it.
So I had long underwear. We had Under Armour, base layer. And
Smart.
I was thinking I was going to have to wear base layer, jeans, and the bibs. But I did that the first day. I had to go change immediately. I'm like, this is way too warm. The bibs are good to go, man. Well, it was fine because they're made to wear over clothes. They're big, but it was so warm. I was chilling the whole time. So I just had a base layer, a jacket, like a lighter jacket, and then the bibs on. And then I had the option to put my down jacket on over that, but I didn't have to until I don't even think I did. At all, because the bibs were that warm with that base layer.
And is it like dangerous to have your camera out in that? You just kind of have to be careful when you set it?
No, the cameras are fine.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and then good gloves. And I did a lot of research on gloves because the problem is you can't, in that cold weather, you need serious gloves, but you can't work a camera with serious gloves on. So that was a little tricky. And then I got just a hard hat liner, which was clutch. That covered my ears.
Smart. It's the little things, man.
Yeah, but if we can shoot it was like last day and it didn't get that cold. If it had got Alberta cold, we would have been toast.
You can't do anything.
Dude, it would have been a bad, miserable trip. But it was pretty warm the whole time. Like still below freezing, but not that much below freezing. The last day was like -5 degrees Fahrenheit, which I think is like -20, 25 Celsius. So it was properly cold, and we were pretty miserable, but we still got everything we needed to do.
Yeah.
But I was watching the videos, and you could tell my brain was not functioning as it should have. I think it was partially because we were on the last day of a long trip, and also it was just so cold. My brain was like, let's not worry about thinking right now, because I'm just worrying about making sure the body's good to go. So it was diverting energy elsewhere. You could tell. You'd breathe in and you'd cough because it was just so cold. Yeah, so miserable. Yeah, so it wasn't that bad, but I know you Canadians are like, oh, it's not that cool. But to a kid in Arizona.
You grew up in the desert.
Yeah,
it's different.
Cool. Yeah, you come down to Phoenix in August.
It's fine. Yeah, 5 a.m. it'll be 110 degrees. We do have a couple vlogs coming from that trip, a podcast about that trip. Once all that is ready to release, we'll let everybody know. There's some real good stories from your time in Canada. Super cool.
It was an awesome trip.
Yep.
So learned a lot. But we've shot in sub-zero temperatures. We've shot in very hot 110, 115
paving jobs, like just
paving
come right at your face.
Yeah, so I feel pretty good unless the conditions are really extreme on either end. We are ready to operate in just about any temperature from here on out.
Yeah, there's an old picture of Angel and Chell. I think that might have been Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, where they've got like just a coat on, but they're so miserable.
It was
and it's like
Philly.
Oh, it's Philly. That's right. And just like in hindsight, that's definitely not even close to one of like the worst weather trips our people have been on. But at the time, like we weren't sending crews out in anything like that.
Oh, they said that was properly cold though. And the oil sands, they just work. And most everybody's in a heated cab. You have a lot of people out there working.
Yeah, not in the cab.
Dude, all the mechanics, they're just out there and they're working in it, no problem. Probably miserable. Good for them. I mad respect to any of those folks that work up there because it's gnarly. I mean, even the operators, like they have to put up with it. They still have to work in those conditions, whether it's a heated cab or not. You're not in that cab all day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was an
super
adventure.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Thanks for the question. Next question. Ever considered touring manufacturing facilities in addition to the mines and earthwork sites you see?
We have a few. I've gone to a bunch of plants in China.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Cat's skid steer plant. I've been to Cat's dozer plant. I've been to Lee Bear's mining factory, Lee Bear's excavator factory, Lee Bear's material handler, and truck factory.
Mm.
So I've been to some manufacturing. I'm working on a Komatsu plant right now, actually.
Cool.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet. It's one I've wanted to visit for years now. Yeah.
Nice.
So we visited a lot of plants. They're cool. The problem with media inside of a plant, though, is all of them are really weird about it.
Sure.
And there's a lot of rules. And there's a lot of quote unquote trade secrets. So it's not the most fun. And it takes a lot of time and energy to get plant tours in general.
Just to get one.
Just to get one. So the benefit of it, and I'm not really a manufacturing guy. It's cool to see how the machines are assembled. It's amazing. Yeah. I love going to these plants. But I'm more of I like to see them doing what they do. And so for me, the energy it takes to get into these plants and for what I get out of it is not equivalent to spending a lot of my energy to get into Suncor, for example, or these cool operations that are using the machines. So we've done that. We'll continue to do that. I'm open to touring. If someone said, "Here, come to our factory today. You can take pictures. We just need to approve them." I'd be there tomorrow. Yeah, I'd be there. I'd be on my way right now. But I'm also not actively looking for manufacturing plants.
That's fair.
They're cool, but in the States especially, it's mostly assembly. It's not actually fabrication. Mm-hmm. Mostly assembly. So it's all these parts coming in from all over the place, and they're putting it all together, and it's really cool. But like going to the Lee Bear plant in France, raw steel goes in one end, excavators come out the other.
That's cool.
That was cool. And just seeing the German engineering, especially the Germany factories, like, whoa, this is something else.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, well, right on. I think when you're talking about those facilities being a little bit more just they're putting it together. They're not really like creating the pieces in-house. To me, like, how different is that necessarily than touring like a facility where they're just doing repairs? Like they're rebuilding a machine. Like, is that really that different?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of the similar process.
Yeah,
right?
They still have to put it back together after they take it apart.
Exactly. But they're starting with the frame and they're putting it all together, which is what an assembly line does. Mm-hmm. But the thing with an assembly plant is it's on a line. It's not.
Oh, so it's still on a line like that.
Yeah,
but
it's on a line. But
they have all the ingredients when they start. I suppose they don't have to create the ingredients from scratch.
So you go down like the loader assembly line. It starts with the frame, and then these components go in. Oh, here's the engines, and here's the drive system, and the lift arms go on. Every station has a next step. It's all really cool. But it's just not it's not what gets me going.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Cool. So. Right on. Next question. Are construction management degrees worth it? And are there more valuable certifications instead?
If I were to go do college again, I would do construction management 10 out of 10 times. No question about it. Go get CM. go work every summer at a construction company, potentially work during the school year. You're set. You're set. If you work every year while you're in school for CM, you get out, you can go work at any company you want.
Tons of experience for somebody your age.
You can go anywhere you want at the end of that time. Their CM is in such great demand. So if you want to get into leadership, into management, if you want to go to college, great. Go to college, get a CM degree, work. Don't just get a CM degree. It's worthless on its own. You have to pair it with work.
But it gets you in the door for those like initial internships and stuff, right?
Kind of. Yeah. It sets you up with some cool opportunities. Like there are some pretty cool internship programs out there that expose you to a lot that you wouldn't normally be exposed to if you just got a job at that company. So there are a lot of benefits to it. But I mean, with CM, if you're graduating without a job, you're an idiot. Like you
kind of wasted that time a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, like in dodgeball, you can't hit water if you fell out of a boat. Like you have to be really, 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 really bad or dumb to not have a job out of school because everybody's hiring right now. It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
And when you come out of school with that kind of degree, is it typically like a project engineer kind of job?
Yeah, project engineer, field engineer. You're making good money, 60, 70, 80 grand a year. Maybe more, maybe a little less.
Running around a lot.
Within that range, you'll have a company truck, potentially, depends on the company.
Yeah.
You'll work a ton of hours, so you will be totally abused, most likely, unless you're at a smaller company, in which you'll probably still be abused there. But it's great. It's what I did out of school. I'd still be doing it if I didn't do the whole build it thing.
Sure.
I didn't screw my life up. Start posting pictures on the internet.
Yeah, how dare you do that to yourself? Come on, man.
But yeah, that's
cool.
If I went to school, CM, work, the world is your oyster afterwards. But if you can, CM, work in the field. Work in the field. I got 2 formal internships, but I had 2 just summers in the field. So valuable.
Yeah.
So valuable. Even if it's just a little field experience, spend time actually doing the work. And even when I was with Skanska, then I wasn't afraid to help out. So I was doing all kinds of stuff with Skanska that I probably wasn't supposed to. And then when I was with Kiewit, I was stemming every hole because they didn't have another laborer. So I was the laborer. And it was miserable, but so valuable at the same time. And I'm very thankful I had that opportunity rather than just sitting in an estimating office all summer. Because, I would have learned something, but you can do that during the school year. Go out and work consistently, 60, 80 hours a week over the summer, because that is what separates you, without a doubt.
Nice. Right on. That's helpful. That's really interesting information. Thank you.
Or if you get a CM degree, go be an operator.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's this one track, and that is, you're either going into vertical or you're going to horizontal, you do this. Or you can have some imagination. And as you experience the industry over the 4 years you're in school, sit there and say, this is what I want to do. I'm going to go in this direction. It doesn't matter what degree you have. It doesn't matter where you went to school. Like at that point, you can be smart enough to say, I want to do this. I want to be a production excavator operator. Check. Cool. You have a CM degree? Cool. Doesn't matter. I want to go start a company. Great. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I want to go be an engineer at a big company, big operation. Great. Have a little bit of creativity. And don't just go, the CM kids, most of the time they go to the GCs. Give the civil folks a shot because, don't tell the GC people this. GCs, if you're listening right now, shh. The civil companies are a lot more fun. But most of the CM schools are designed with GCs in mind because the GC is the one paying for the whole thing.
Sure, that makes sense.
So it's always I went to the Delhi Webb School of Construction. It's a home builder. So it's either residential or vertical contractors because they have the money to spend on getting these people in the door. They have more infrastructure. Civil is behind in that regard.
Yeah.
And that's why they get left behind in the college world because it kind of is pay to play. But give the civil guys a shot because
doing the real cool stuff.
It's sick.
Yeah. Right on. A similar question.
And also with that too, just with my Kiewit experience, for example, I was in Arizona. If I would have applied traditional logic, I would have applied to Kiewit Southwest District, which would have kept me in the Southwest. But I was like, I don't want to be in the Southwest. Where are the cool districts? I looked at the tunneling district or the tunneling group within Kiewit, and I looked at Northwest District. I applied to both of them. And I think I applied to Southeast. You could apply to different areas. Like if you're like, I want to go work in the Northwest, go apply to Northwest District of whatever company there is. You have some freedom there. You don't just have to, whatever the path is, wherever you're at, that's what I do. You can be creative. Like, get out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Cool. There's another question here that is related, but is kind of from a different angle. Do you think everyone should start with a shovel in their hand before learning to operate?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah. If you skip that step, you're just screwing yourself. You're setting your whole career behind. Whole career. You have to learn that step. And it won't be a ton of fun during, but patience with that process will take you a long way. Long way. So the longer you can do that, the more you can learn there, the better off you'll be long term. Yeah. It's an investment in the future of wherever you want to go, no matter what you want to do. Whether you want to operate or own a company, it doesn't matter. Everybody should start on a shovel. Everybody. And you have to do it long enough to get it. Like you don't have to do it for a decade, I don't think. Yeah. You can learn quickly. All these guys are like, you don't have 7.5 years experience, so you can't go to this next level. Like, I don't believe in that. I've seen some of the best operators I've seen. They're younger people. They just get it. And they're hungry, but they started on a shovel. The problem our industry is starting to face, but is only facing more and more as time goes on, is what's happening is if I'm digging a hole with an excavator, traditionally, I would have a person on the ground guiding me from a grade standpoint with a grade rod, checking beep, 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 beep. Okay, yeah, we need to, that's good. This is good. And that's the best place to learn how to dig a hole in that machine. So when you get in that machine, you understand what that laborer needs, that person on the ground needs. You understand the mechanics of it. What's happening is because of the labor restrictions, we're automating the process. We're removing the labor component to be more productive, which is great. We need to be more productive as an industry. So we're applying 3D grade control to that excavator. And now that excavator operator has that model in the cab, can put the bucket anywhere and see exactly where that bucket needs to be, exactly where grade needs to be. So now you don't need a person in that, and you pair it with like a tilt rotator. Now you don't really need another person at all. You're eliminating that position. But what you're also eliminating is the only training at your company. And I get there's some specific union areas that are different. I understand, but it's still on the job training. Yeah, wherever you're at.
It's a real entry level position.
Yeah, so union, non-union, everybody has this problem. So you've just eliminated your only form of training, which is on the job. So now how do you train your operators? If you just eliminated the only position, entry level position, the feeding position to being an operator, how do you do that now? I don't know.
That's the question, I guess.
But you have to fill that void. And most companies aren't, which is going to cause problems. So you either have to be deliberately inefficient from a training standpoint, or you have to train those people in a different way.
Yeah.
Because now you've eliminated that position. That's great. Now you're more efficient. But you just took away your best opportunity for people to learn how to operate. And that applies not just to operating, a lot of positions. So, now we need to train more effectively. Oh, so why do you think BuildIt is creating a training platform? Oh, I don't know. Because the whole industry is going to have this problem. Because the whole industry
does
painting with a broad brush. Yeah, has the problem and doesn't have any kind of training other than on the job. Show up, do the work,
get better at it.
If you're good at laying pipe, maybe you'll be in an excavator one day. That's it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the folks, we've had a lot of folks on this podcast who have really a very similar story to that, where they came to the industry and were just on a shovel, and then eventually had opportunities to not do that.
Yeah, but what another key change within our industry now is that the past generations were more rural. They were more trades oriented. They were more rural. So they were either growing up on farms, growing up around work, growing up around parents that worked. They'd been around that their entire lives.
Yeah.
Now that's going away. It's gone away, arguably. So now we, again, have to solve this workforce challenge somehow. We have to draw people into our industry that have never been on a job site before. So before, we used to have an entry-level position for somebody that has held a shovel before in other applications potentially, but they've held a shovel before. They know what they're doing. They have some background on even just how to work. But now we don't have that. Now we're putting people that are totally green to even working into our companies. And we've eliminated the entry-level positions, or are on our way to eliminating the entry-level positions. So double problem.
Yeah.
And we've had this criticism of we'll put a video of how to use a broom, how to use a sledge, how to dig with a shovel properly on the training platform. And they'll ask, why the hell would you need, who the hell needs to know how to use a sledgehammer? The whole next generation needs to know how to use a sledgehammer because no one's taught them. They've never had to use one. They've lived in LA their whole lives. How often do you need to use a sledgehammer in LA?
Yeah.
Not often. Not often.
Yeah. It's even just the percentage of people who grew up with some of those tools like in their home is drastically reduced. So it's not like they're
Correct.
Not growing up on a farm anymore. They're not growing up having to do their own landscaping. You know what I mean? It's just like that gets lower and lower.
Yeah. We had no tools in our house. Something broke. If something needed to be done, we called somebody with tools.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't around tools, man. I'm here. Like, I'm doing my best, but I didn't have the background information.
Yeah.
I didn't have the knowledge. So many people, I get asked about our training product too. It's like, well, every company does things differently. So how do you scale? I'm like, sure, but they need to teach the basics first. They're missing the basics. So that's where we're focused, is how to properly take care of equipment, how to grease equipment, how to inspect equipment, how to do the basics on equipment, how to use a shovel. What are the basics of safety? The basics. And then not only that, but they need the basics on how to be financially savvy themselves, how to be healthy, how to be mentally sound, how to be strong, how to be good leaders. That applies to any company. And then once you have the basics figured out, you're able to educate people on the basics and make them better people overall. Now you can get into more advanced stuff. We'll get there. And you can add your own videos to our platform. But we're after the basics right now because that's what the industry needs. And maybe you didn't need those basics because you grew up at the construction company your whole life. You absorbed the basics without even thinking about it. But next generation, if we're going to solve this, back to the basics because they're totally missing.
Well said. And I feel like that, to give like the folks credit who did kind of grow up around that work, I feel like it would be difficult to understand why couldn't other people just sort of figure that out when I hand it to them?
Well,
it's like maybe they could.
Skiing, for example. I grew up skiing. I learned to ski when I was 3 years old or whatever it was.
And so you're like, it's not that hard.
Well, no. If we went out to the slope, I know it's hard, but if we went out to the slopes, you'd never skied before. You're like, all right, teach me how to ski. I have no idea.
Oh,
because I don't know how I was taught. I was taught so long ago.
You just can.
Or I wasn't even taught. I just had to watch somebody else and figure it out. So I can just do it. I can just be like, I don't know, you just do it. I don't even have the tools to teach because I was never taught. Or I was taught in a totally different way that doesn't apply to today. So I think that's what the struggle is it's not that sometimes, it's like, oh, it's not that hard. Just figure it out. But big picture, they weren't ever really taught this step by step. So they don't know how to teach it.
And that seems to be a pretty common problem. I know we've had a lot of conversations with folks where it's just like, just because they know how to do it doesn't mean they're qualified to teach. But so many people are called upon to do that because they know how to do a thing.
Yes.
Even though they're missing the ability or the understanding of a certain skill or a piece of equipment or whatever, they're missing the understanding of how to teach it to somebody else.
Correct.
And so that's really where our work with the training product and this all the things we're building to go with that is trying to help fill that gap. And I think that's an important part. Help fill that gap, not fill that gap.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. Well, I thought that was plenty questionable answers. How do you feel?
I feel great. Yeah, I feel really good.
Cool.
All right. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Please share the podcast if you enjoyed it. Send in your questions, dirttalk@buildwith.com. Check out the YouTube channel. Search Aaron Witt on YouTube to see our latest videos. And we'll see you on the next one. Stay dirty, everybody. Stay dirty.
Stay dirty.
Stay dirty.